Audio test 1 2 1 2.
Stuff electronically now, so trying to get everything set up, be able to work out.
Yeah, so if I may, real quick, we're trying something new on our YouTube channel, so make sure your microphone's on if you're speaking. Without the microphone, they won't be able to hear you. But it's going to be a lot better quality for them.
The infamous drill. I think I got to keep mine on all the time. Let me get started. Oh. Is yours doing it now? All right. Order, if you could go ahead and do a roll call for us.
District 2, Sam Cortez. District 3, David Emery.
Here.
District 4, Michael Rodriguez.
Here.
And District 5, Charles Cate. He's not up yet.
Okay, we'll go ahead and press on. And those of you in the audience, we actually have one of our council members, Charles Cate, who's actually deployed right now. But on and off, he'll actually be joining us for different meetings and stuff, so in case he pops up. But we're going to go ahead and press just so we can kind of keep ourselves on time. So if everybody can please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right. We're going to go ahead and jump into item number 4. This is citizens to be heard. This is for citizens that do not have anything that is on the agenda and they would like to go ahead and address the council. City administrator is going to check, see if we have anybody. We have anybody? Awesome. Okay. Just asking one more time. Any citizens to be heard? Nope. Did you have something else besides what's on the agenda, Commissioner? Yep. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to item number 5, consent agenda. Consider approval of payment of bills.
So council, we don't have anything tonight for you. We approved a lot last time. Lynette's been working diligently on this $8.5 million certificate of obligation, getting a lot of information back. We got a rating call this week, so we're going to push that till the next meeting.
Excellent. We'll just go ahead and bring it forward. I'll have a few extra ones to go on along with that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to item number 6, open session. A, consider and act upon the 2023 Atascosa Central Appraisal District budget. So, Matt.
So council, we either have to do nothing and it passes, or if you do not want to approve it, we have to disapprove it by resolution. I've sent you the packet on what the appraisal district sent us and what they're looking at. They've got some increases there. I think they've reworked the budget. They sent some more information today. There's a lot to it, so I think we can let the people here from our representative, Kimberly Falk, speak to it. She's on the board as well as the commissioner from Atascosa County. They might be able to explain it a little better than I do. We've been working through a lot of things, but I know they've done some major changes to it since the last time we were told about it.
Okay, appreciate it. Commissioner, come on up. Excuse me.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. 2 parts to this. I'll report on what the Commissioners Court did this morning. The Commissioners Court disapproved the budget. The reasons for that, if you want me to explain, I'll be happy to. Initially, the budget came out with a 19% increase from the last year's budget. We all got to look at it. The board presented it and gave it to the entities. I don't know if you got a copy of it originally, but the indication came back that it probably was not acceptable. So at the board meeting in July, the first thing we did was disapprove the budget. We had a vote 5-4 and disapproved the budget that we had previously sent out. Subsequent to that, at the end of the meeting, one of the members requested that it be brought back up to discuss. So the board went through it, and the board reduced the budget from these numbers are approximate 19% down to, I think, 12% increase from the previous year. And I voted for that. It was a unanimous vote to present it out to the entities. The following Monday, though, in Commissioners Court, it was brought to me over the weekend that there was some misleading information that had come out. The information, and it's really getting in the weeds, but the appraisal district had presented that they we're required to appraise approximately, and the number's close, 72,000 parcels meaning a taxing parcel. However, upon review, almost half of that is done by an outside appraisal firm, which directly interfaces with the appraisal district's computer software. So in court on Monday, I changed my vote and voted no and recommended that we disapprove, and we did disapprove. Now, since then, there's been some other discussions. Ms. Falk may have some more information that I don't, but that's the basis on which the Commissioners Court disapproved it, because it was a 12 point something percent increase. The the judge and the county auditor looked at their budget and came up with another budget which would have increased it by about 8%, still taking care of the salary needs of the employees, but eliminating the need for one new appraiser. I'll go back to that on the parcel counts. When you subtract out the mineral parcels, which are not done by the appraisal district, it comes in, the number's rough, between 42 and 46,000 parcels that they're responsible for. And that puts us comparable to Medina and Wilson counties. And those counties had fewer staff than we did. So that was the reason the judge discussed this with us. We discussed it in court and decided to disapprove this budget because it increased their staff by one. We had no issue with the raises for the employees. There were several of their employees that were underpaid market-wise. The clerical staff were way below what should have been. Those were brought up, and the appraisers were brought up. But at 12.6%, there's another 4% we believe that could come out of there. It equates to approximately $80,000. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any. I know it's a lot of information. And if I can't answer it, I know Ms. Falk can.
I noticed on one of the employees at deed clerk, the salary from 2022 to 2023 goes up $11,000.
Yes.
From 32,000 to 43,000 and change. I ran a percentage on that. That's approximately a 35% increase in salary. So do you know anything about that one?
I don't know the specifics, but I do know that the clerical staff were extremely underpaid. And the attempt there was to bring them up to the same level as the clerical staff of the county, equivalent jobs.
Yeah. Seems like quite a big jump in 1 year. It might be better to break that up over a couple of years. We'd all like to get a 35% increase.
I wouldn't mind myself, but.
Thank you.
Council? Any other questions?
Oh, and if I may, I'll give you a copy of the resolution.
Pass it around. Be able to do that. Okay. Anything else, Commissioner?
I don't.
Okay. Mrs. Folk? How you doing,
Hi.
ma'am?
How are y'all doing?
Good.
Thank y'all for having us here. So basically, I mean, a lot of like what Stuart said, we were trying to bring the salary wages up to comparable. There was a number of years that we did not give increases to the employees, and trying to make up for some of that. I do believe that one of the ones that the increase was higher is because of like some supervisory type things. There's a couple of employees that were low and they're actually supervising peers. I don't have the exact one.
Yeah, that information wasn't on the sheet. I thought it might be something like that.
Right. We did go through all of those carefully at the meeting though. So those I do believe are, we all supported that, trying to get people to where they need to be. I know the issues came up with the parcel counts, and the information that I had is out of the 74,436 parcels, the district appraises 61.23%, which is 45,596. And then the remaining 28,840 are the ones under contract with the outside company. So that was kind of the breakdown, but I do know that the county has looked at a lot of the details as well too, just trying to do the right thing for what we need for the future. There's a lot of growth, particularly over here in our area. So we're just trying to make sure we do the right thing for the employees and the district and just everybody that's involved here. So is there any questions that I can answer for y'all?
Council, for just so you know, Mrs. Falk represents us and the board, and along with the Lydle ISD.
Lydle ISD, yes.
Be able to do that.
Do we know what Lydle ISD is doing on this?
I have not spoken to, I've tried to reach Michelle, but they were kind of out during the month of July. And then I reached out again today, but she was in meetings. So prior to this meeting, I did not hear. I was told by Michelle, our chief appraiser, that they were supportive of the first budget that came out. So, but I don't know that firsthand. So just so y'all are aware.
That 1,600 number for the fiscal impact for the city, is that nominal or is that high or low?
Let's see if
That was on the denied fiscal impact. It's $1,673 per customer.
So if I make it, so that's just a fee we pay quarterly to the appraisal district as part of their budget. It's a little higher than what we paid last year, but that's understandable. I think we typically paid, I think I put on there as an extra impact. It's going to be a couple $100, $200, $300 more than what we paid last year in there.
Did y'all have anything else y'all wanted for me to answer? Or
I would just like to probe a little more on the salaries. I understand where the clerks and whatever need to be brought up to market. I'm looking at chief appraiser from 21 to 22. The salary increased $2,800 in that 1 year. For 22 to 23, this budget we're looking at, it's a $5,683 increase. So that's more than double the increase from last year. Right, 6% is $5,800, and that's just about where it is. Seems a little high.
we were doing what we were trying to do with all employees.
Right, yeah, I ran the numbers down here. Most people are between 5 and 10% increase in pay. Again, I can understand on some of the people who have not been brought up to speed lately, but I would suspect that the chief appraiser has been where the chief appraiser needs to be over the years. But the increase this year is double what the increase was from 21 to 22. Mm-hmm. So it was higher than this?
Was there any background? I am concerned about the clerical staff. I think we all agree. Was there any background that was brought up of the reasons why, they actually fell behind over a period of years?
And I believe a lot of that had to do for the period of years where we did not do any increases at all. Stuart, do you have any input there that you want to put?
I really don't.
don't believe there was an explanation given for why that are.
It's just when you miss a number of years, not giving any kind of increase, it's and particularly on those where, you know, a 6% increase is not going to be a ton of money, where somebody with a higher salary, a 6% increase is a lot more money.
So not even the cost of living
No.
increases?
No, they did not get cost of living.
You know about
I'm correct on that, right,
There
Stuart?
may be 1 or 2 years where they did not, where the county did not, but in the other years, 3%.
3%? Yeah, that's a normal that you usually see.
But there was several years where they did not receive that.
The county and Councilman, we don't have any issue with the salaries. I think we've studied them, and we believe that they're equitable, that they're deserved and they're needed. The only thing that the county has issue with is the additional staff, which I don't know how we slice that, because I was on the budget committee, but it's a dollar amount. I don't know. The budget that the chief of the county auditor, there was an 8% increase versus a 15% increase. That's quite a difference. So we had no issue there with the salaries as presented there, because it was, the main effort was to bring everyone up to where they should be. The issue was the increase in the overall budget beyond that.
And the, let's see, the extra position was budgeted at 47,500, I believe. The extra position that's in there, which is for the chief appraiser,
Would that,
or appraiser, sorry.
would that then be the difference between an 8% increase and a almost 13% increase? That one
There's some
position?
other,
Okay.
minor things. That's the primary driver right
And what did y'all come up with on the 8%? Was like $40,000
there. I
decrease?
have no idea.
I have not been privy
I
to
haven't seen it.
the budget that they were working on, so I'm not sure about that. But I do support what we have done as far as the salaries for the current employees that we have. I do support that. I do believe what they're trying to do based on the parcel count and I forgot what it's called here. There's an assumption that they go by what's the recommended parcel counts, but it's not laid out that way in the law as to how many they're supposed to have appraiser that they have. So I have that here somewhere. I just got to find it. Should have put my glasses on before I came up here, right? Sorry. So it's the International Association of Assessing Officers recommendation regarding organizational structure. And that's what parcels per appraiser for countywide appraisals. And then the reappraisal plan breaks that out into like a 2-year cycle of how many they're supposed to be doing. And right now, with the currently have, not able to get to that number each year, which is 20 years. If you that 7 appraisals, currently we have like 4.5 of that. So that was a reason for the asking of the additional. I know Stuart and them have gone and done some like are very similar to us, asking them what they have, and they have a less or about the same number. Stuart, the number, like what did you say? How many did?
I don't know the number, but at least from Dean and Wilson, they had less staff than we did. I don't know the exact.
Yeah. And if there's information that you want me to find out, I'm happy to do that.
I think we have to, based on the timeline, I think we need to be able to provide guidance.
Yes, if we need to, if you're not happy with this and you've got additional questions, we need to deny it by resolution and send it back to the appraisal board to work on it again. If not, then we're giving our thumbs up to it. And we have till the 25th, I believe, of this month.
Any questions for Kim? Thank you so much. And
Thank
thank
you
you for throughout the years too. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So council?
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we deny this by resolution and send it back for further review.
Okay, I got a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and deny this per resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a second. Any further discussion?
Just a little bit, I trust our county commissioners and our judge. I know they looked at this and all of their auditor discussed it in quite a bit of detail. So we have a little time, and I think we need to send it back and let them work on it again. See if we can get it down off that almost 30%.
Any other discussion, inputs, council? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries forward. Matt, if you can please work with our attorneys.
Do legal and get us a resolution.
Make sure that we actually take care of that. So, thank you so much, Commissioner. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity and the input for our council. Will do. All right, let's go ahead and move on to action item letter B. Consider an act upon partnering with Patriot Automotive for the September 11th event.
Council, at the last meeting, the owner of Patriot Automotive came forward and wanted us to partner with them for September 11th event. However, it wasn't an action item, so we couldn't take the action on it. So it's before you tonight. There's no fiscal impact to us. It's just allowing them to use our decal and say that the city is supportive of it, of them feeding first responders and stuff on September 11th. That morning.
Okay, got a motion on the floor? Got a second? Okay. Any further discussion on this? I know we talked about it in depth last time. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And Matt, if you can please close the loop with him. I know he's ready.
I'll send him an email.
Yeah.
Yes,
And council, just so you know, we're also going to work with making sure that we actually send that information out. It's going to be great, not only for Lydle, but it's all our surrounding communities. It's going to be a great event for our first responders, and we'll get the information out there. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to C. Consider an act upon forwarding the school crossing guard funds from Bear County to Lydle ISD. Matt?
So council, Lynette's located some funds that are dedicated funds that the city receives from Bear County. In per Senate Bill 460, these funds can only be used for a school crossing guard. If we can't use the funds for school crossing guards, then we can do something else. We can't transfer them to the school district to use for that, and we can use them for something else. But the first priority is the school crossing guard. I'm not sure if this has been done before. We've identified several items in this account that we need to do something with. So it'd be my opinion that we go ahead and catch up for this current fiscal year and go back 1 year and pay the school that money. That's what it's dedicated for. It's there for the kids. And that's what we should be using it for. It comes out to roughly $6,600, and then you allow myself and finance to work with the school district to see how they want to receive those funds moving forward, monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever works best for them. But it's dedicated money that we can only use for that.
So thank you, Lynette and Matt, for finding and designating, making sure that we get those funds to the appropriate place.
Well, those funds were for previous and current years?
The 6,600 is for 1 year back. There was
Okay, great.
a few years relocated, but we can't fix it all. I can only fix it what we can.
Okay, I'll make a motion to forward Bear County School Crossing Guard funds the previous year, estimated $6,600 to the Lydle ISD.
Okay, got a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and do that?
So,
Okay, got a second? Any further discussion on that?
do we need to add into the motion motion to give you and Lynette authority to work with the ISD in the future?
Yes, sir. Continue forward.
That good point.
So I want to amend that to also include working with the Bear County or Lydle ISD for the coming year. in future years.
I amend my second to agree.
Okay, good. Thank you, David. Okay. Any other further discussion on that? All right. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries forward. Thank you. That will actually help out. It's not a lot that comes in per month, but it does add up and it will actually help out, offset some of the costs. So this is good and we're getting it to the appropriate place. So that'd be great. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to D. Consider and act upon the appointees to the Annual Citizenship Award Committee.
So council, this is the members y'all want to appoint to the committee that will then accept the nominations and review those and bring forward who they believe should receive that award each year. So if everybody's got an appointee, you can either tell us now or the Paula. However, I believe we've got one already. We'll just need everybody else.
So it's,
Sure, we can start. You want to start over here with Sam first?
Anybody out yet, but I can ask somebody. I was going to ask Richard Hughes, but I haven't asked him yet. I'm sure he will.
Okay. If you'll just let us know, that way Paula can have it.
All right.
I would like to appoint Margaret Wilson. I have spoken to her and she has agreed to do it.
District 3, Miss Robin Cantu. I spoke with her and she's excited about the opportunity. Robin Cantu.
awesome.
For District 4, I submitted Eva De Leon. And Eva's gung-ho, ready to go.
Awesome. All right. And do you remember who the others? No?
I think that was
Okay.
I'll reach out to Alderman Kate.
So we need to get the two. If possible, see if maybe we can get by next meeting, so we can go ahead and take care of that. There's certain things based on what we came up with that we start working in September, being able to put things out with the intent of shooting at the end of October to go ahead and get the committee formulated and taken care of, so we can go ahead and make that announcement before the holidays. But yeah, see if we can do that. I think since we're still waiting for two other ones, I think Molly, should we just wait until we get everybody together to go ahead and get the whole appointees named, or should we just go ahead and name these? Okay. Okay. So, Council, if we can get a motion for us to go ahead and take care of them.
I move that we approve for the committee, the citizens who've already been named.
Mrs. Wilson, Mrs. Cantu, and Mrs. De Leon. Is that correct? Okay. Got a motion on the floor?
I'll go ahead.
Did it fast.
I'll go in a second.
Okay, got a second. Any further discussion on that?
Yes. My discussion is if Miss De Leon was in my district, I would have nominated her, but she's not. So thank you for doing it.
Well, yeah, well, that's one of the things too to keep in mind. You don't have to stay within your district. If you have another candidate, that would be a
Yeah.
prime person to nominate. Mayor, you're going to be chairing that committee.
That's correct.
Thank you.
That is correct. So, but this is good. She back there?
Yes.
Sounds like we got some groupie shirts. We got to come together. We'll put something together for that, without a doubt. All right.
She knows everybody.
This is awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries forward. We got 3. Yay. We got 3 appointed. Appreciate that. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. E, discuss an update on the original request by Karen Bragg to revise the posted speed limits and to install speed humps on Lydle, Somerset Street.
So council, this has been before council for some time. We did a lot of research on it back when I was in the police department and agreed that it wasn't so much maybe a speeding issue, but a traffic volume issue. We did, however, choose to reduce the speed limit from 30 to 25 verified and data showed that that worked. We reduced the speed by average 5 miles an hour. There's still, I guess, a high influx of traffic on the road by sheer volume. So if we wanted to look at anything else at this point, it's a sheer created inconvenience for someone to drive down the road by putting speed humps in. In my opinion, 1 or 2 probably isn't going to do the trick. You're going to need several down that road. I will say I had prices on this, but I don't know what I did with them. I just saw this and forgot. Yeah, I had prices worked up. If I want to recall, it was about $3,500 a set by the time we do all the speed humps, buy all the signage, and do all that other way down. I know we have to work through legal and get an ordinance run. I can't remember the last time we did some speed humps on all that. So however the council wants to move forward, we're going to look at the budget and see where we're going to take that money from. This late in the year, or we can look at it if we've got some extra months. Next year, I just don't know how many extra months we're going to have.
Six is what we had measured out, done that twice.
What was that cost? Do you remember, Chief?
Around 15,000.
Yeah.
6 of them. But again, 6 of them, but that's also, we had the issue with the signs come up. 6 speed humps is a minimum 14 signs. One saying speed humps ahead on one end, speed humps ahead on the other. Every set of speed humps has a sign on each side. So that's 14 signs you got to shove on that street too. Talking to Mr. Rodriguez, we had a conversation, we're also afraid that if you put a whole lot on that side street, there's always potentially people are going to just turn up and go up the other street, the one that runs parallel.
Starcross?
Starcross.
Come in the neighborhood.
If they could potentially go up and start to fit all that. But we don't, that's something Mr. Rodriguez talked about, which I think he was talking about.
All we're going to do is we're going to shift that traffic volume from one road to the next road. But however council wants to move forward, I'm here to do whatever council wants.
So I will interject, if you have $150,000 set aside for street improvements, and that's all.
That is on the road paving that they are currently working on.
How much do you have?
0.
James?
You'll remember you talked about engineering, we've got water standing on Lydle, Somerset on one end. Plus you'd have to repave that street before we put speed humps on it. They're not gonna last, that street's not gonna last as long as the speed humps if you put it in the condition it's in now. But we talked about getting it engineered out of car wash, putting concrete in there so that water doesn't stand, so it moves on.
The other side.
So let me get this started, Mayor. Let me make a motion, and then we can put in the particulars.
Okay.
So I want to make a motion to install speed bumps on the Lydle Somerset Street. You'll have to.
Okay. Got a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and install speed bumps.
Maybe before we go to second.
So having had conversation with Karen, Ms. Bragg, she had mentioned too. Now I know Chief Priest, we were talking, and that's why I wanted to make the motion and see if we can get a second. This way we can go into the research, find out what's going to cost, how many we actually need. As Chief Priest was saying, we also got to get the citizens to realize that these signs are going to be in their yard with these speed bump signs. So that's something else. Then too, I guess I can say it now, I want to call all the citizens, especially the residents of that street, to come and join us in the next meeting on August 22nd to voice yea or nay, or if they have opinions. Because we really need to get this going. It was, 1999 when this originally was put out there. So we need to get something rolling.
I'll wait for a second.
To answer your question, it was 2.
I just want to make sure we didn't move too far. Okay.
Okay. So you're making a motion for us just to install speed bumps? That's all you want in your motion right now?
Okay, so I'd like to amend the motion. I'd like to make a motion to investigate the installation of speed bumps on the Lydle Somerset Street.
Okay. Got a motion on the floor. Have a second? Okay. Motion doesn't carry forward. I'll go ahead and put it back.
I have several people that live on Somerset Street. I mean, Somerset Street. No, it's
Oh,
Somerset.
Somerset.
They asked for speed bumps, but I told them you have to go to the council and ask because I see still people driving over the speed limit 25. I've been doing 25 and the cars are like racing right behind me.
I
Or
can tell you the police are working. We've got a lot more speeding tickets coming in because we did lower speed limits.
I told them I would bring it up, but I wasn't going to guarantee them that they were going to have, be installed.
Ask for an engineer.
Right.
Speeding hasn't increased substantially on Lydle Somerset Street, correct?
No,
It's gone down, hasn't it?
and I'll let Chief, if he come up and speak to it, because I don't want to, but it's kind of a harder street to enforce speeding on because of the way it is with the stops right now.
So, there was, again, really put it simply, there was reports, speeding, we put the speed trailer over there. There was not, a very low percentage compared to any other street we've done, the lowest of any of them, speed. But we went in, council, not me, decided we're gonna lower the speed limit over there, and we did, we lowered the speed limit. 5 miles an hour. The average speed on that street lowered 5 miles an hour. So the speed limit lowering worked. And I still will, based on my opinion, the fact I drive through there all the time. There's a lot of vehicles on the road. And the key is not a speed hump, the key is not a speed limit. The key is being able to go back in time and make it 25 or 30 years ago. And unfortunately, none of us can do that. It's hard right here, it's hard all over town, So, the 25 mile an hour speed limits we have lowered. Somerset Street, also here, writing citations, it's a very 25, it's slow on that street, it's a long stretch. Speed humps, y'all talked about that. We have 2 on Lydle on Prairie Street, North Prairie Street, and the residents will tell you 2's not enough. People will still get to go in between. So that's why we looked at more if we let that happen. So, Lydle Somerset Street is in the middle of a huge commercial area, and it's only gonna get, more traffic. I mean, we've talked about, can you make it one way? Well, I think maybe you could, it wouldn't be, it'd take a lot of challenges. But if you're gonna make it one way, and you're just gonna have the exact same amount of traffic, you saw when you go in the same direction. And then coming back the other way. Could you block it off? I don't think there's any way you could block it off. It's a main thoroughfare. It would affect school traffic, it would affect emergency vehicles, it would affect police being able to traverse the town. I mean, there's a lot of issues. So that's, anyway, that's it in a nutshell, at least, our belief on it. All anything I can expand on, I'll be glad.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate to the council that this is not going to go away. In fact, it's going to get worse in the future. And I'm not talking about just this one street. I mean, you can think of any town where you have residential areas and you get through traffic. And I know residents on those streets are going to complain. So this is where we're going to cut our teeth on. We're going to have to address these issues in the future. And they're gonna multiply.
The other street we have a lot of country traffic on, south Prairie going down by Public Works Yard, and then going out on Magnolia Street, hitting Benton City Road. So people have figured out that the traffic light backs up, so they come down there. So you're getting those residents that talk to me, I've expressed them to county council, they're concerned about speed humps as a way to deter people. I'm afraid if you do that, you're just gonna head them on the next street, on Benton Street. So it's really beyond my knowledge and how, you really need someone that has the data and the science, that's actually an engineer in this, that can really look at us and say, this is what a city similar in y'all's scenario has had to do. And it may require us totally rethinking the way we, our traffic patterns. But unfortunately, I don't know that there's much, my knowledge allows me to tell you how to fix that. Because even if there's no growth in the city at all, you just have to go right outside our city limits and you see tremendous growth, residential, and more to come.
One other thing too, I had asked Jesse, how do you get a consensus of what the residents of that particular street want? You have one person that may want the speed bumps. I talked to 2 other residents. One was uncommitted, and the other one didn't realize there was an issue. So, how do you go about that?
So real quick, if I can make one quick comment, we got a report from the YouTube watcher that can't hear y'all as well, so maybe move a little closer to your mic when you speak. I would say if I lived in that area and I was concerned about it, I would be here at council. I would be calling City Hall. Outside of the one or two residents over there, we don't get that consensus. You don't see them here all the time. I've never heard from anyone else over there. So that would be my opinion. We don't. It's normally coming from just one or two residents. I agree. It's a bad road. There's a lot of traffic on it. But it's not probably a band-aid fix. It's something we need to probably get engineers to look at. And like everything else, redesign an intersection like we're looking at on North Prairie and 3790, where you can make a 90-degree turn. They're not a quick shoot through kind of cut. The more I'd be happy to keep them on that road and make our residents happy. I don't know if that's possible.
So is there a way to amend the motion that we could at least get something to look at this situation? Something that would, I guess, get more involved in what it is that we could do or possible.
We need a new motion.
Yeah, it's a
Right,
new one.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, but
Yeah.
what would that entail?
Does it need to be a new agenda item?
This revised posted 3 minutes.
Molly, could we still make a motion if they wanted to direct staff to investigate something else? Do we need to read?
Within the same street, yes.
As long as
We're
you-
talking about speed concerns on that street. I'm talking about speed bumps. So if you want to talk about something, an alternative to it, which let's do an alternative to speed bumps on Somerset.
And that would be you, right? They would head that up.
It's gonna be me.
I'll make that motion. I think something needs to be done. I live there. Y'all know that. And yeah, there's a lot of cars, a lot of traffic. I don't particularly love the idea of speed bumps. When they've done the study before or whatever, when y'all chatted with people, said 6 speed bumps, I'm thinking, okay, so now I'm going to hear all the cars and da-dum all day long. So that doesn't sound appealing to me. So I don't know. There should be hopefully another option.
I got a motion on the floor.
So the motion was to investigate alternative methods? Okay, I'd like to second that.
Got a second on that? Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Be able to do that. Okay. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. I know I've highlighted it before. You know, this goes back to the 90s. This has been on and off, taking a look at it. So we definitely, I appreciate the council actually moving in that direction for us to be able to figure out what we can do for that area. It's very important that we actually take that next step, be able to do that. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I think we got a few people here to talk and want to be able to discuss a little bit about F. So F, consider and act upon possible revisions to city subdivision and zoning codes to require buffer zones or other requirements for the development of mobile home parks. Ms. McDonald, Tammy, come on up. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 possible, maybe 5 who would like to speak. So we'll give everybody a chance to go ahead and speak about this. All right.
Again, I wrote it down, so I don't forget what to say. So I was just gonna say, we're here again because we are concerned about the plans for the new trailer park permit. The site for the trailer park is right behind my home. I live on the end of Martin Street, which is not far from the police station. I understand that the rezoning occurred in 1997 and cannot be changed. So I'm on record to say our city is not ready for this many homes. I'm asking the city council to consider the restrictions that we have put on other developing subdivisions. Space between homes and more space from the property line. I'm also asking if we could ask the Harris family, which I'm glad that it's here, to have a plant barrier as well as a fence barrier between the property lines. There's wildlife all around our house, and this development will park will also affect our homes. We bought our house in Lydle to be away from the city, to be spaced out from our neighbors. The trailer park will affect our home's value, not to mention the crime that is associated with the constant revolving door of people moving in and moving out of this type of home. I grew up in Lydle, I work and I live in this community. We ask that you think about our small town that is busting at the seams and make a decision that is best for our community.
Appreciate that. Okay. Council? You have anything? Any questions? Okay. We appreciate that. We're going to put a little summary after we actually get everybody so we can hear everybody that has. So thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Who else will go ahead and like to come on up? Come on up, ma'am. Ms. Harris?
Hi, Mr. Mayor and Council. Sorry I haven't met you yet. I'm going to Humps, and nice to meet you. In response, actually, I am just here for information. There's so much going on in the city, and everybody's going, oh, what's happening here, what's happening here? Stories get all mixed up. So I'm just wanting to let y'all know what our ideas were over there. First of all, I'm not sure if I should face this way or
Wherever you're talking to, you're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it.
the homes that are going to be in that community are all brand new. Every one of them is going to be individually owned. There's not going to be any rental homes over there. The only thing that's going to be rented is the lot. It's going to be way different than the one that Daddy started over 50 years ago when there wasn't even a highway there. It was being built. He put in that mobile home park for all the gentlemen that were working on the highway. I don't need to go in that big old long story. I'll go over my time. But what it is all brand new homes. Every person that lives in our community, they have to be vetted. Their credit's checked. Their criminal history is checked. I'm not sure if any other subdivisions do that, but we do. And they don't move in if they're a criminal. Of course, there's always somebody going to try to sneak somebody in, but that's just the process that you follow in any subdivision, anywhere. Okay, so remember, all of those homes are brand new. They all have to meet Texas, TDHCA HUD. They have to meet HUD standards. And I know people call them trailers. You need to call it a trailer, but they're really not trailers. They are homes built in a factory and moved to here. The only difference between them and a P&B home is that it's moved from the factory already built. Now, there's a large group of people these days that can't go out and buy a brand new home in one of these subdivisions. Now, I don't know how close those houses are over there. I've driven through Salaries, and they're really, really close. As a matter of fact, I think some of them are closer than what some of our homes are. Can't verify that, but it sure looks like it. So, that we can check on. But these people like newlyweds, or maybe even a retired veteran, or an older couple wanting to be in San Antonio to be closer to the doctor, and they want to have their own home, but they don't want to have another lifetime of a mortgage. This gives them the opportunity to do that. It's giving a whole group of people an opportunity to own a home that can't buy in the subdivision yet. They may be able to later, but they can't right now. I already told you each one of the prospective owners is vetted, or they don't live there. If they are not approved before, they don't live there. I know that, and I am not certainly pointing anybody out for please nobody be offended, but I know because I lived in a mobile home a lot of my life, and there's nothing wrong with it. But for some reason, there's a stigma as to it being a lesser lifestyle of living, and it's really not. And I know over there on that 16 acres that's been there for nearly 50 years, there's about 100 families there that would beg to differ that it's not a lower lifestyle. It's just a different one. So just remember that these families are just important to the functioning of this town as people who don't live in our communities. We're all important, and we all need an opportunity to own our own home. I'm just asking that if anyone thinks that this is a lower standard of home,
Go out and drive every street in the city, every one of them. Don't be selective, drive every one of them. And look and see what kind of homes and what kind of people we have in this really cool city. And it can be even better. The plans for this thing are really nice, curved streets, wide enough streets for fire trucks, for school buses, and all of that. So I'm trying to just squelch some of the worry because people get crazy and hear something, and then when they tell somebody else it's a different story. When that person tells somebody else it's a different story. So new homes, individually owned, it's not a revolving door. And if you're concerned or whatever, if you have questions, ask us. We're the ones who have the answers. Don't believe everything you hear around town, because some people get really dramatic. But that's basically all I'm here for is information. I just wanted to give you the information we have so that if y'all were considering things you may have heard around town, that this is what our plan is. So consider that whenever you were considering this. Yeah, there's a lot of people coming into town. And we have also provided a home for a lot of really good people in this community. We have a police officer that lives there. We have a county deputy that lives there. So there's a lot of different kind of people there. And that's the kind of living that they prefer. Or they do something different. And that's basically all I have to say, y'all.
Okay.
I have a couple questions in reference to the previous speaker. Are there plans now to fence the entire area?
Well, the plans were going to be discussed tonight, but we couldn't get on the agenda. Can't answer that for sure. I'm sure it will be, but I don't have that in front of me, so I'd rather find the answer to that.
Okay. So I guess that answers my second question. I was going to ask if it was going to be a restricted entrance, gated type community.
Not gated. Right.
So going back to the plans that were submitted, we haven't seen it come forward. So is there a fence to answer the question that Ms. McDonald's?
And there's a little bit of flexibility to what extent what the fence, whether it's, being fenced you can see through, which is typically, we're building a barrier, not a concrete wall, perimeter, but
I would just ask if he's going to speak that he come forward so that everybody on YouTube could hear him through the microphone
Thank
and
you,
then
Molly.
announce who he is and why he's here.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time. City Council, my name's Casey Homer. I'm working with the Harris family. We have some sister properties down the road where we're trying to do similar expansion projects. We provide all sorts of financing to provide the American Dream home ownership, high quality, brand new. But regarding the question of the fence, all of our properties will have a perimeter fence of some kind. However, to the extent of the type of material is yet to be determined, as we're still pretty early on as far as trying to get through the planning process. Which is a little unfortunate. We were hoping to submit that planning process or at least start. However, we'll be on next agenda. Bring some materials there which we can present. Again, we have some drawing depictions. We can bring some flyers related to our home that we'll be providing. But a lot of the specifics as far as like material type of that fencing is still in. But we will
I went to California a couple of times and I saw several mobile home parks. They're really nice. They had like front porches, covered front porches. They had real nice yard. Some of them had rock and their front yards. Some of them had astroturf, and they have real nice driveways. And something like that would be nice. But
I agree 100%. So I'm familiar with that type of gravel. So we'll be embracing the natural landscape. We will have grass, we'll have landscaping, concrete driveways, asphalt roads. They would have very nice porches built to standard. Like the awning, that's typically an upgrade item. We do have the option of upgrading the porch to allow for awning. Same with the shed, same with carport.
I think Ms. McDonald. Yep. Come come on.
I just wanted to ask you a question again. My concern was not the front fence where the entries are, it's the property line at the back. And I think it's phase two, which would concern my land. The spacing between the houses is a concern, so I would like to, I guess, know that, because I guess in my head, I envision it really close together, kind of like the current trailer park. I think the houses are beautiful. I mean, my father lives in a trailer, and so I have nothing against trailers. A mobile home, I'm sorry. I have nothing against that at all. I'm concerned about the barrier, and hoping that maybe we can come to an agreement on maybe some plants or trees, and then maybe events at the same time.
We try to be as neighborly as possible with these type of funds, and something we've worked with before. Actually, just down the street, in that instance, they were okay with the game fence and vine. So we went through, we built the game fence, we built vine. Over time, it'll grow up and through. It's a very cost-effective way, but I didn't need to ask higher rent.
Yeah.
Provide quality, with kind of
Right. I don't know that we need the hog.
Like you said,
I don't know if anybody else wanted to.
Yeah.
One more question, Ms. Harris. You mentioned that there was going to be no rental. So I understand Harris is not going to place a manufactured home for rent. But what if a person moves in, has their manufactured home, and decides they want to rent or they want to lease? Is that going to be in the contract to not allow that?
The only ones that are gonna be there are the brand new ones. No one's moving their own mobile home in unless it is like.
But I
straight off
could-
the lot.
But what I'm getting at is I could
Sublease,
purchase, yes. Is that going to be deterred? Is that,
So it would need to be approved to go to us, if that was the case.
I,
There are some instances where it might make sense,
Yeah.
an older couple, they need to go home, or they need to do something, a case-by-case basis, something we can work through, but not the intent of having a third party come in and bring homes.
right. I've never done that, and because we always found that it was the biggest problem, because then the renter would say, oh, well, I'm not renting from you, that don't work. That doesn't work. But whether it ever, look, I've seen it happen when I was back in college. I lived in a mobile home park up there, and there would be someone living next to me, and he said he was renting from his grandparents because they moved somewhere else.
Right.
He's in college. When something like that happens, and let me just speak for myself, because it's new working with Casey. What we always did, no one ever moved in unless they were checked criminal or background and credit background. But no, a subleasing, that's.
well, I'm just bringing that up in case there's a question about that.
So my concern, here's a scenario if we're going to go with the rentals. And you know how I feel about the school district. Okay? So the density inside there and the students that could be the school district with the students that they have to support. It's one thing if it's owner and they're the ones that are property owners and they have that, but it's another thing once you start renting it and who comes in there and how many. And I can tell you that in some of the mobile homes that you currently have, there is different families in there.
I know, and that's something.
So
that
let me finish. So I would request that you take that into consideration as you come up with an HOA or the guidance that you come up with, because that's not fair for our school district. What we get from the value of the home to what the time and the effort that our school district puts in, we have to take that into consideration. So I want to be very careful, and I want to make sure I stay on the agenda. But right now, because of the rentals and what Mr. Rodriguez is saying, I'm very sensitive about that. And I think we all need to be sensitive because we're tasking our school district to do a lot of things, and they're very limited right now. They don't even have the money to be able to put an elementary school together. So, but you can. But I'm just saying, please be very considerate of what we do in that mobile home park because of the impact it has with the school district. Anything that you can do to help finance the school district would be highly recommended. Okay?
I can tell you one instance we've done in our sister property in Amarillo, we have an after-school program. We have tutors come in and train the kids to take those resources off those, Amarillo ISD in what their after-school programs allow. So we've worked with local groups and churches to try and support our kids and set them up for success. We've looked into several different options, very open to ideas, but it sounds like we're on the same page regarding the renters and the higher turnover. And
Please do.
And
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know that you're right, that does happen, but once we know about it, we start fixing the problem. We don't allow them to continue to do that. And because I know, because the school calls me and says, the so-and-so live there, and I'll say, well, this is who's renting the home, but these are their kids, those other kids don't live there. And so then the school takes back that, talks to that parent because they don't actually live there. Because there's a lease on every one of them, but on the renting thing, it's just, all they're gonna do over there is rent the land. They're gonna own their own home.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. No, thank you.
I think we have Ms. Medina. Or, oh, go ahead.
Can I just ask another question before you guys go away? Just because I don't know. If you're renting the land but own the house, the school district still gets tax from the owners of the mobile home?
Yes, they're taxed on their home, we're taxed on the land.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, these appraisal districts have been increasing the rates on manufactured home communities at significant rates,
Right,
and that gap is closing.
they've got some of ours, yeah, that's another whole story.
And new
But
homes
yes.
have continued to climb in value, 35% price
Right.
increases in the last 6 months,
And
65% in the last 2 years.
I wanna,
So it goes up, so is the tax rate.
I wanna let you know that in the past, like, let's just talk about the 16 acres that's been there. We've paid taxes on the homes that we rented, and we also pay separate taxes on the ground it sits on. So there's a lot of tax being paid there, and I know people don't realize that, but that's why we're here, for people to know.
I just wasn't that smart. Thank you.
No.
There is tax, and without a doubt, there is tax that comes in, but it's not the same as a regular home.
The gap is closing, is what I was trying to get.
Yeah.
There is a difference, just for everybody to know. Okay, so we have other comments? Come on up, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hello, council. I'm Waylon Simmons.
Oh, no, I gave it back.
Joe Linda did a good job of explaining. And I understand this is on a very early stages of development, apparently. I'm on the zoning board, have been for 10 or 12 years. We see each and every one of these developments come in. We have to approve them. And there are certain things we require, certain things that you can put in, but there's certain things, on a buffer is one of them that would be required. Because you've got an addition that's been there for a long time. I've been living there 44 years. Very quiet, other than the interstate occasionally, the weather isn't right. But and I don't know how many anticipated mobile homes you're talking about.
And the new one?
176.
How many?
176 over 2 phases.
107?
76.
76. 176 mobile homes. Obviously, the noise is going to be substantially more. Because each one of those houses probably have at least 2 cars, maybe 3, hopefully not more than that. And y'all were talking about the taxes, and the taxes, whether a mobile home has its wheels on it or it doesn't have its wheels on it, can be taxed differently. And the school district does not get, as well as the city probably, but the school doesn't get near the taxes off of the mobile homes as they do regular homes. And you can figure if you're going to have 176 mobile homes, there's going to be an average between 2 and 3 students per house. So you multiply that out and you can see what that's going to do to the school district. And that's extremely costly. So we have to consider all of that. And I would just like to say that, did y'all say a while ago that this was approved as a mobile home park in '97?
When Daddy bought it.
It was zoned, it was rezoned.
Mhm.
It was rezoned, but was it approved as a mobile home park?
Yeah, there's a plat on it.
I know, Matt, I think the only thing that we've seen so far has been just the rezoning portion of it. Is that correct?
Yes, so it's pending going before the engineer to review everything to see if it meets all of our current codes.
Okay, but this has not come before the zoning commission.
No,
as
it
I
has not.
understand it.
No. I think where we're at right now is what was submitted is for them to figure out the cost that it's going to take to do the engineering. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, that was my concern, was because I had been on there a long time and it's never come before the zoning while
No,
I've
sir.
been here.
It hasn't gotten to that point yet.
And so we're a little premature, I guess, and to this point, but it's good to get all the information you can get off of it.
Daddy, maybe you
Appreciate
need
it.
to explain it.
That's all I have. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate it, sir. Okay, Ms. Medina,
No, it's-
come on up, man.
My turn now?
No, it's Mrs. Indian.
Okay.
I think he knows.
Good evening. Thank you
Good
for
evening.
having this meeting and listening. I'm going to be moving around a lot.
You're good. Go ahead and state both of your names so we know. You're good. It's all good.
My name is Monica Medina. This is my husband Daniel Medina. We've lived here in Lydle, I think, 1996, 26 years in October. Our lovely neighbors are the Simmons, we have the Tomlinsons, and we have the McDonalds. And there's others who were not able to make it today. We do have some concerns, and like you said, you've given a lot of information, and that's great, but we still have some more questions, if you don't mind, okay? For starters, and if you said it before, I'm sorry, what is the name of the company that's helping you to build this park? Your company's name?
So there's several different entities involved. Lydle MHC is the formal one. My background was with Homer Homes, is the retail entity.
Okay, so Lyle MHC, so, and you said that you built a park in Von Ormy. What's the name of that one?
So it's not one that we built, it's one we're expanding as well. And that one's called Ridgecrest. We've grown that for a little over a year. We're in the same process as we're coming in here.
So Monica, so that's, so because of the agenda item and what it's talking, if we can kind of stick to what we're actually discussing. You know, there's nothing wrong that after the meeting, if you want to get one-on-one and get all that information, you can go ahead and obtain all that.
Okay, and that, I appreciate that, and yes, so thank you. I do want to talk to you afterwards on that, because we are concerned about the impact that it is going to have on our community. As was stated earlier, we have a very close-knit community. We're concerned about the buffer area. We want a big buffer because we've gotten used to the neighbors, human neighbors and furry neighbors as well. You know, we want to make sure that to minimize the impact on that, and we don't think it's too much to ask for a buffer, whether it be space or a combination. Space, trees, fence. And definitely the school impact is going to be huge. The teachers, the school districts are spread very thin, so we need to think about the future of Lydle. It is growing, and that is fantastic. We have enjoyed watching Lydle grow as a town through the years. But there is a huge change happening right now. And we want to make sure that we're planning, predicting as well as possible the impact of this town in the future. Because we don't want this town to lose its appeal.
Ms. Medina, can I ask you a question? Is it just this subdivision that's bothering you, or is it every one of them?
I understand it's going to be growing. This is the one closest to me right now that we're going to be giving to our sons.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna have to go ahead and proceed.
Yes, there you go.
I was just gonna add one for the council to consider too, from a planning standpoint. So there's a considerable amount of green space between the homes on Martin Street. So kind of focus on Martin Street for a moment. it's a cul-de-sac, right? So, on that area. Oftentimes we get a lot of traffic that moves through there that's not from the neighborhood. We find out it's cul-de-sac turnaround. The problem we have too is because there are some green spaces between the homes. It's very easy for somebody to say, nobody lives there, there's no fence there, they can walk right through. And that's our concern with the barriers. If there's gotta be some sort of deterrent so folks understand it cannot be cutting through private property to get to the other side because it's a shortcut. And so that is one of the concerns we have. The other concern is obviously the infrastructure impact to Margaret Street, because not only is it the water and electricity, but it's the roadway. It does not do very well with large traffic. Garbage trucks are about, and fire trucks are about the biggest that we've had down there. A lot of folks use it for walking, so again, the infrastructure, there's no sidewalks, so folks often use the street for that purpose to walk through. So any kind of transit type of residents that are in the area, I'm not talking taking anything away from mobile homes, but the transit traffic that could impact Martin Street from that perspective is what we'd be concerned about, because we don't want anybody cutting through yards, trespassing, and then obviously impacting. So, and that's coming from the Martin side, the street side of it. Okay.
Thank you,
Mayor.
ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Medina. I really appreciate that.
Mayor, if I may, so this would be a discussion in general about mobile home parks and what the city can do for buffers and infrastructure impact going forward. It seems like the concern is as to this project that is in development process or could be considered in a development process, depending on where we are in the planning and preliminary plan. Sometimes with a project like this that has a lot of community concern, the city can facilitate a town hall or a meeting of concerned residents with the developer one-on-one to have more of this type of Q&A, so that the developer's already, mentioned that he would like to be neighborly and address and talk about what materials will be used for a fence and so forth, and that can be facilitated by having a town hall meeting where we post it and anybody would like to come. That way they know and they can come and it's fair. They can voice their concerns and ask their questions. This agenda item is more general in relation to the impact of these types of developments, not necessarily specifically this one. So I think that would be better placed in a town hall meeting again, or even a community meeting hosted somewhere with mayor and aldermen for that district and city administrator. It doesn't even have to be a council meeting. But something of that nature would be more of a Q&A. We're limited in an open meeting with what's posted on the agenda to keep to that. And so while I would like to facilitate this type of productive conversation, it's just not the place for it.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Anything else that deals with the agenda items? All right. Nope. Yes, Mr. Harris. Yes, sir.
They're there. Sit down.
Okay.
And right there.
Several things I'd like to say. One is that if you talk to the chief of police, I don't know whether he said this or not, but one of the officers lives in our park that we have there. And I was told to me that by the chief of police told that officer, said, you better not cause any trouble over there. You'll have to move. So I don't know whether that's true or not. But anyhow, we have had people in there that come in and rent and somebody else move into it. All these things happen. But one of the things that we do have is we've got pretty good control of it. And also we vet these people before they come. And I don't know whether all these houses that developments vet anybody or not, but I just want to tell you that I think we run a good operation, and I'm surprised. I really am surprised that nobody's talked to me. They've come to y'all with all the problems, and or maybe it generated here. I don't know. Did it? Anyhow, one of the questions I have: are there any tax abatements done on any of these developments?
To answer the question, no.
Yes. No. There's no tax abatement on any development. Okay. Is there any refunds of utilities and stuff?
I'll be more than happy to answer those questions any day, typical working day.
Okay, well, the reason I'm asking that is because when I put that place in over there, I put 1.5 miles of water line, gas line, sewer line, and power lines in there. And they all reverted back to the city. I paid for the easements across the 2 properties that go across. And we did things right at the time. But, you know, it seems to me like you're kind of moving the goalpost here on us, and we just see what we have to do with it, you know. Do you not want a mobile home park in Lydle, Texas? Is that what it is?
Well, Mr. Harris, I think we need to, based on our legal advice that was just mentioned right now, I think we're going to have to schedule a meeting so we can have some of these discussions.
I'll be glad to meet with you.
So
But
they'll be able to do that. Right now, what we actually have is just being able to look what's on the agenda and have that discussion.
But Mr. Mayor, we've had rumors, we've had anonymous phone calls, we've had all sorts of stuff, and nobody said anything to us. We could have probably answered them and kept all those words away. But I think the tax-wise thing is pretty reasonable. They raised the units that belonged to me last year before last, over $100,000. And then this last year, they raised it over 200,000 above that. So I don't think we're not paying taxes, you know. As far as the amount of people, they said something about 2.5 or 3 kids in each one of these houses. There's a lot of houses, there's only one person. And then some of them are 2 people, you know. So all these things, these figures thrown out there might not necessarily be true.
Sir, we
But
will actually schedule a meeting. We'll go ahead and, based on what was advised to us, so we'll go ahead and do that. Okay.
Okay.
We'll have an opportunity to have the discussion on it.
Would you tell, you know, I don't hear that well, so.
We'll schedule a meeting
Okay.
to get everybody together so we can talk about this.
All right, and get the people in word about it. I think that their property's gonna go up whenever that goes in there. It's not gonna go down.
Yes, sir.
And the property that all of our neighbors, and I think we've got 9 neighbors on the park that we have, we don't have a complaint one problem unless somebody here runs one of them.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for what you have done, sir. Thank you for what you have done over there. We appreciate that.
Okay, if they do, well, sure, you know,
Will do.
we're a good neighbor. So, I think for the unknown, it's more than a lot of people and doesn't need to be. I appreciate the time, the council. And I see the chief is loud, but anyhow, I think if you check with the safety of the area and where people live there, that's probably one of the safest places to live in town, don't you think? No? How many calls?
Not
do
the
you
worst,
have?
I guarantee you that.
How many calls do you have over there over another 100?
We appreciate it, Mr. Harris. We're gonna go ahead and move on, but we'll definitely schedule a meeting. Go ahead and do that, okay?
Mayor, I move that we table this agenda item for now and encourage the meeting that had been mentioned to go forward to address these issues.
Okay, got a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and table. You got a second? Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. So you can help us out with that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Appreciate that. All right, here we go. G, consider and act upon the application at Wendell Garcia to vacate the replats of lots 2D and 2E, Block 4 of Hester addition to the City of Lydle subdivision located in South Bend Street, South Pecan Street, Lydle, Texas.
So council, this is the one that's been before y'all before. This is the final replat. It's already gone through the engineers. They've approved everything. It went through planning and zoning on Friday and they approved it as well. So now we're just looking for formal approval from the council.
I move that we approve the application as stated in the agenda item.
Second. Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, H, consider an act upon the application, Ms. Collins, to vacate and replat 19A Block 40 of the San Antonio Suburban Irrigated Farm Subdivision located in 18506 Live Oak Street, Lydle, Texas.
Again, council, this one's been before y'all before. It's gone through planning and zoning on Friday. They again approved that one. So we're looking for formal approval from y'all. It's approved by TRC. They've met everything.
Mayor, I move that we approve this application as well as stated in the agenda item.
Okay. Is that a motion? Second? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. All right. All right, update on County Road 6843, road closure.
So council, I've gotten information back. I've kind of maybe stalled this one longer than it needed to because I was the one that asked if we close a road down, we should do it properly versus just throwing something in the middle of the road for somebody to hit. So for liability reasons, we did reach out to TxDOT as well as TRC, our engineers. We got some information back on how you should properly close a road down, meaning what type of materials to use. So we need to seek out a cost for those wooden bollards as well as the guardrails needed in the signage. And then from there, we can coordinate where that's coming out of the general fund or where, and then coordinate with James and how quick they can get that up. It's going to be a bit of a process, but we'll start moving on it. Once I get some prices, we'll come back.
Are you gonna signs at each end?
Yes, sir. It
saying
would
that
require
road-
signage, road closed ahead, and then when you got there, it would be the actual barrier in the road, a guardrail barrier across the road,
Right.
along with the big signs in the back that kind of have that red and white chevroning, all the reflective needed material, everything we can do to show the motoring public that road is closed.
Yes, because when we went to Commissioner's Court, that was a request that they made that we put.
Yes, we'll make sure we've got signage that says road closed ahead. And again, once you got to it, it would be very obvious the road is closed.
The biggest thing, just like Matt was mentioning, is being able to control that area just because of the trash, you know, in that area. So it's one of those places out of sight, out of mind, and people actually do stuff that they shouldn't be doing out there. So we definitely need to be able to do that. We already invested money in there, cleaning it up, and it didn't take long for it to come back. So we need to take the next step to be able to do that. So thanks for the update, man.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions?
So by closing that road, that doesn't relieve us from the obligation of keeping it clean, right?
No, but it basically stops from folks actually being able to just drive by and
And because it's in the city limits.
it's in the city limits. That's correct.
We'll have to work again on getting it cleaned again,
Right.
which is another
So
task.
this should help.
But hopefully, once we've got it closed, we can then work on getting it cleaned up and hopefully stay cleaner. It won't be perfect, but we can keep the roads off, the vehicles from being able to travel down and stop to dump trash.
Yeah. Mr. Rodriguez, the county already agreed to support us on this, so that's what's happening. Okay. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and continue on. Jay, consider an act upon the removal of department liaisons.
So council, when y'all adjusted the job description last time, placing all the department heads under me, there's realistically no need for a liaison anymore. That would be technically me. So if you've got an issue, you wouldn't go to the department head because it would be circumventing the chain of command, and I wouldn't understand or know what y'all are telling the department head. So if I was giving him or them a different direction, right, it's just we need to channel everything in one direction. So really, in my opinion, no need for a liaison anymore. Let that become me, be that main point of contact. Y'all come to me, and then we can give that one general direction to the department.
So being you, was there any other purpose in having the liaison in the department?
So this generated from the way that we used to do procedures. A lot of our liaisons actually took up responsibilities
Right.
because we didn't have a finance director, because we didn't have a city administrator. So we actually jumped in, and that was one of the ways that we could help out within our department.
That was the primary focus. Okay.
Back then, staying informed, taking Jerry out to the waste management treatment plant.
The only other thing
James?
that I would see department heads involved in is in the policy, which we'll fix, is it required approval to sell back emergency vacation pay, the department head approval or the liaison approval to the department head. But realistically, unless the department head would call and say, hey, is that in the budget? You're kind of taking the word of, the department head saying, yeah, they got. So now that could take me in there. So it would be them asking and requesting it, and we would actually have that knowledge right there.
We have the different individuals already in there. So council, as for,
So I would go ahead and make the motion to remove department head liaisons.
a motion on the floor? Second.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Got a motion, got a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, okay, we're doing good. Consider an act upon authorizing city administrator to enter into a lease purchase agreement with American National Leasing in the amount of $96,677 for a mini backhoe for use by the Public Works Department.
So council, you remember this current fiscal year, we budgeted some money to buy them a mini excavator. The cost on that mini excavator, the size they needed was greater than the 40,000. So in doing some research, I discovered that their little Bobcat tractor they use is over 20 years old, James. They've taken pretty good care of it, but it's still an older piece of equipment. So I was able to identify a piece of equipment. It's called a mini backhoe. So take a Bobcat and stick a backhoe on the tail end of it, the excavator portion, and it's an all-around piece of equipment. The attachments they already have for their Bobcat would fit on this item already. We've looked at some other attachments that they sell from this company and some upgrades we're going to do to it to prepare us for the future for additional upgrades as we move along. I did seek out leasing from 2 different companies because the cost of this machine alone on the quote you'll see was $94,935 for the machine, and then the 2 attachments they want, the 60-inch broom and the 72-inch grapple arms. One was $5,900, the other $4,200. Those are pieces of equipment they currently do not have. So if they had to go pick up brush, they got to do it by hand. Now they're going to have the machines just like the contractor we use to pick up our brush. So we can actually get some more done with it as well. We can't afford to do that turnkey, just like we can't afford to buy the police cars. So I reached out to American National Leasing as well as Government Capital. Government Capital sent me back some information and also stated it would have to apply for credit, kind of apply and see if we were still approved. They quoted it on a 3-year term, 5-year term, and 7-year term. However, American National Leasing, we are already pre-approved. If you told me yes today, we're ready to rock and roll. I'm choosing, if you look at there, they got a 4-year term. It's a 4-year with a $1 buyout. You can see it would be a trade-in as well of our old machine for $8,500. So in all, we would buy this machine and finance it over 4 years, 4 annual payments of $26,793, leaving us $1 at the end of 4 years to buy it. And we own it after 4 years. So that would be my opinion if you allow me to enter into the lease purchase with American National Leasing for that piece of equipment. Fiscal impact, really none. We're going to carry forward the $40,000 we have in this year's budget, and we're not going to make our first payment for a year from the day we take delivery of this machine, which could be within the next week or 2. So it would fall into next year's budget, but only the $26,000.
Does that $96,000 include the 2 attachments you're looking at?
Yes, sir. And this would allow for the trade-in of the older piece of equipment.
So what does that leasing mean to us? What if we go out there and break it? What does that mean? What is
We
the
still,
lease?
it's all, I mean, we still have to fix it. It's not like a leased car. It's lease
don't have to
purchase
watch the
versus
mileage.
a loan. I think there's some stipulation when you deal with government money is whether or not you can take loans out for more than a year, but you can do a lease purchase and carry that for a long use, work it as debt into your.
And that's the biggest benefit.
Yeah, that's what most of your city governments do.
Gives
the
you a
lease
lot-
purchase.
So maintenance and everything would be just like if we owned
100%
it outright.
ours. I
Okay.
would be honest. This is something we'd work into the budget yearly, maybe twice a year. They come out and they would service both of our pieces of machinery. The big backhoe in this one, change all the fluids, and just they're on a cycle. Let's just get it done. Well, let's extend
Is
the
there
life.
any manufacturer warranty on this?
1 year.
Like on a car, 1 year?
Yeah, I believe it's a 1 year manufacturer warranty on it. Oh, I'm sorry. 3 year, 3,000 hour full warranty.
Council, this would be a big help. I've seen James and the guys out there with very limited spacing. So this would actually give them the opportunity, instead of doing it by hand, a lot less. So they have a lot more opportunity, so.
And this equipment is in-house, ready to be delivered versus having to wait a year or 2 or 4.
You know the brand, JBC?
JCB, yes,
Oh,
sir.
JCB.
And it'd be purchased on the government cooperative purchasing through Sourcewell.
Make the motion that we approve the lease.
Got a motion? Need a second? Yes. Second. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? There you go, James. He's smiling even more now.
Yeah.
The guys will. It's an air-conditioned cab, so we probably won't get kicked out of it. But we will keep it under the carport or something, correct? There you go. There you go. I just want to, we will make sure it stays under carport or protection, please. And we'll get decals for it.
Everybody be taking a lunch break inside of that thing. That'll be good. All right. Thanks, man. Aye. Consider next on salaries, city administrator, city secretary, and finance director.
So I was asked to put this on here. I'll briefly cover it and then let the council take over. So on May 23rd, 2022, council removed the finance director from probation. Typically when that happens, there's a nominal pay raise that goes along with it. That did not occur. On June 13th, 2022, the city secretary was appointed. However, there was no mention to her current pay being changed from hourly to salary, which is typical for department head. And then the city administrator, for me, I've just completed 3 months of the 6-month typical probationary period. So in the 2022-2023 budget that we're building, we've already talked about these and what those ranges were. 70 for the finance director, 55 for the city secretary, and 90 for the city administrator. If the increases are approved tonight for all 3, or however y'all move forward, there's really no other increase to be expected for those positions come October 1. You're basically going to give it to them a little early if that's what you choose to do. Physical impact, there's none. With the recent retirement of our current city secretary, or our former city secretary, sorry, Paula, you already retired on it. There was enough funds to cover these and still give us a surplus of 35,000, call it, in these salaries. So it's at the leisure of the council on how they want to move forward.
It's going to be effective immediately, or?
That would be our recommendation, yes, sir, but it's up to the council, however y'all want to do it.
I thought in the last, when we had the budget meeting, that you told Santi and Cassandra that there was enough money in the budget for their part-timers.
No, sir, that's not what I said. What I said is that their part-timers could not work the hours they were doing, because then it would trigger us having to pay other pensions to them, thus, or paying retirement and health benefits, and that we did not have money in the budget to hire more full-time staff. That's what we've discussed. We actually just recently moved a library position from part-time to full-time, given her full-time staff now, and that person now has the ability to work additional hours and has full benefits as well. In regards to animal control, that was talking about their overtime budget. They had exceeded all the money they had in their overtime budget, but there was no changes. We did talk about the part-time people and how those by law need to be reduced, that we were doing it incorrectly.
Different set on there. So one of the reasons I'm putting it on here is they've done a great job of getting us to where we're at right now, without a doubt. We're taking care of things, getting things lined up. We're preparing ourselves for some major financial decisions that we're going to need to make in order for us to be able to fund some of these projects. And they've been doing a great job to be able to do that. There's flexibility right now with the money that is available in their pot of money. It's not coming out of any other department. That we actually have the flexibility to be able to get them paid a little bit early just because of how they're performing. If you all remember, we actually went ahead and moved some of them from the probation period into regular. But like Paola, we kept her in hourly wages, where we should have actually already done this hourly at that point. So.
Yeah, I move that we approve the salary increases for city administrator, city secretary, and finance director as outlined in the information provided by our city administrator.
Got a motion on the floor?
I'm sorry, can you say the effective date?
Can you specify the
Effective
effective date?
immediately.
A motion on the floor? I'll second that. Have a second? Any further discussion?
So did the council agree on these numbers? So I went back to try to look at some of the videos since I wasn't a council member and I didn't see the actual numbers agreed upon.
So I'm not going to say the council officially agreed on any of these numbers. I can tell you all the discussion prior to me taking the position of city administrator, it has always been discussed at 90. The other items were discussed in budget talks and where we wanted to be, and we got no response back from council of they're too high, they're too low, or anything. That's why we went forward with the same numbers that we had previously presented and made the council aware of.
So then by agreeing to this motion and passing it, we're agreeing to the salary number.
That's correct. That was the motion.
I don't think we should cut the probation period short. If we agreed upon, or the previous council agreed upon, the 6 months, it should be 6 months. I do understand that you guys are doing a lot. I 100% agree with that. There should be compensation made. I mean, we're talking about the city secretary didn't get compensation. The finance director didn't get compensation. That should be done. But I don't think we should go ahead and make active their salary prior to the completion of the probation period.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, I don't have nothing against you, Matt. I know you're doing a good job, but it was said it was a 6 months probation. And now we're moving it up to 90 days. I mean,
So this isn't removing probation, but I'm entertaining whatever the council wants to do. I'm here to work no matter what we do, gentlemen. I'm going to do the same job tomorrow that I did today and the previous week, and we'll continue to work. But we do have 2 other employees that, I mean, the finance director was removed from probation, and nothing happened there. The city secretary was appointed as the city secretary, starting the probation time for her, but there was no mention of any possible increase, moving the salary, anything on that. So we just need to address how we want to.
I do agree with that. We should be making some compensation because their duties have changed.
Yeah.
And what we discussed back in May of 23 was requirements because you guys needed access. I mean, we realized that. Your titles changed, but you needed access to, confidential files, sensitive files. So we made that adjustment on May the 23rd. I just don't want to see the salary increase until the probation period is completed. And it's like I said, it's not the personal. You guys are doing a great job. I think we need to stick with the probation period and stay. At the end of the probation, you're going to get this amount of money. And if we go with the numbers presented, that's fine. It's a council decision, but that's my recommendation.
So we have, just for clarification again, so she was officially removed off of probation, the finance director.
Or my understanding in May the 23rd was because of her need for access. That's the only reason she was removed from probation. That was my
The
understanding.
meeting minutes stated that she was removed from probation, so it was done early.
and how long has it been on? It's not 6 months, right?
Yeah, I think we just.
Started January 14th.
Okay, so now.
Oh,
now
so
it's-
you already passed your probation period.
Yes,
So we should be able to do that if you're past it.
Can I give some input to this? Until this evening, I was a liaison for City Hall. So I've worked very closely and have been in tune with what Matt and Lynette and Paula have been doing. Paula, we're trying to get her off of hourly, but Matt and Lynette have already been on salary. And if they work overtime, they don't get extra pay for that. And I know that Matt has worked a lot of overtime, what we would consider overtime, as well as weekends. And Lynette, I can't imagine how much overtime she's put in if we were counting strictly more than an 8-hour day. And Paula absolutely needs to be on salary because of her position and what she's doing now. So I would absolutely fully support the motion that I already put in.
I understand that, but are we gonna do it for every department now?
Uh,
I mean, how about if James or somebody else in another department?
I would think we'd do it on a case-by-case basis. We had exceptional needs. We hired exceptional people. They've proved themselves very quickly. They're
I mean,
more than willing to do the work.
I don't have anything against Matt. He does a great job.
No, that's what
But
I'm
I
saying.
think
We
we
take
need to
it
stick to our
an item at a time. We don't need to be locked into rigidity here. If,
we need to do it with other
well, if the
departments.
department head brings it to us and makes an agenda item on it, we can consider it.
So my recommendation is that we stick strictly to the probation period. And we don't deter from that.
Okay. So we got a motion, we got a second, we got discussion, everybody voiced their opinion. We're gonna go ahead and follow. We'll go ahead and do a vote. All those in favor for us to go ahead and act on salaries?
Aye.
Two. Those opposed?
Nay.
Okay. We got two for, two opposed. There's a tie. I have the opportunity for us to go, for myself to go ahead and cast a vote, and I vote for us to go ahead and approve the salaries for all three positions, effective immediately based on the motion that was presented. Okay. Appreciate that. All right. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Thank you all for everything that you guys are doing. Really appreciate that, Paola.
Absolutely.
And Lynette. A lot of hard work put together. Okay, I think we're up to number 7, announcements from city council and staff. Any announcements from the council or city staff that you want to go ahead and pass on?
Okay, nobody, I'll go real quick on staff. So this week, we moved a public works position into a full-time position. He was already there working those hours, and the budget was already there, so he got moved to full-time. We moved a library, like I mentioned, a library position to full-time. We have extended the job offer to the new permits clerk. So she's waiting to do her background check and typical hire-on process there. And then today we were able to get our city secretary enrolled in her first class. It's a public administration, kind of covering a broad topic, but meeting minutes, agendas, kind of general administration, stuff like that. But it's one of our first steps into the actual certification program for becoming a municipal clerk. That is mine. Oh, yes, actually, I forgot. Sorry, she's already been there and back. Ashley's already attended her first track in part 1 for the municipal. Like I told you, my goal is professional development here. Everybody, if you can't hold a certification, we're going to send you off to school to do it. I think it not only helps the person personally, but it's going to benefit us as a city, and hopefully we just create that relationship and keep longevity like we have with other people.
Awesome. Staff, anybody else?
Bob mentioned.
Hey, come up here.
Yes.
So I will tell you one thing for sure, that we need to do, we've done the police department for many years, is push continuing education and certification for all the staff. It's going to keep people here, and it's money well spent. When I started in law enforcement, the mentality was, if you train people, then they're just going to leave you. So let's keep them dumb. That was true. That's the way it was. Matt, you know that. And we've all worked in those places. But I appreciate that. I do believe that's an important factor, and then I won't say nothing else. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to mention, I live up on North Benton by the cemetery, and the street machines are out and working. They're starting to work on Lake Street, and I guess they'll come down soon on the North Benton extension by the cemetery, roads that were desperately in need of repair. So, yay.
Yep. I spoke to them today. We will be feathering the sides like we talked about. They anticipate about 3 to 4 days worth of work to be done. He's identified a couple other small spots that he says if we would just extend a little more pavement, we could fix a couple other issues that he saw on the pavement. So it's supposed to get me some cost on that, very, very low. We'll have enough money to cover it if it looks good.
Well, thanks to you, and thanks, James, for helping us out and getting all this taken care of. We've been waiting to take care of our roads, and I also want to give thanks to County Commissioner Sitter that has helped us out with County Road 681 right there by the high school. They've been doing a great job too and making that happen for us too. That's the actual material that they use on there. That's what they use for the county roads, to be able to do that. So it's not asphalt, but it's actually the oil with the rock on there that they take care of that. So, but they're not done yet, so they're still finishing up. You notice they still have some equipment out there, but it's a lot better than what we actually had before, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Well, update. I know James is working really hard on this. We're getting closer and closer. A lot of the things that were open are being taken care of. He's still being able to sleep at night. It cycles through, and well number 4, he says no. He's still in the habit. How many years you used to go check, James? 20 plus? I don't remember. 20 plus years. James would get up in the middle of the night or whenever it happened just to make sure it was on or off, everything manually. So I think he's programmed that way, but our well now is set up. We still got to program well number 2. They've done the maintenance on it, and we're still waiting for some other equipment to come in here in the near future. But we'll give you an update as soon as we get that, but it's moving along, and that's good to be able to take care of. Sirens are being worked on, council, just so you know. We have 2 sirens. One of them actually, they got damaged by a wind, and it was the shelter actually flew off and hit it in one of the storms that we had. So we're still working on them, but we'll get them up there. We went 3 months straight with all of our sirens working appropriately, which is a big, big thing for us. Want to give you a heads up. We got October. We have the cleanup. We're looking at possibilities. So for everybody, we're going to try to do the same thing that we did in the spring and the fall for us to go ahead and have the dumpsters for our citizens to have a place to be able to take care of all their other stuff that doesn't get picked up. And we'll have the dumpsters in those places, whether it's here or at the high school.
Along with street walking on the same day.
And street walking too in the common areas. Other thing I wanted to give everybody a heads up is ComZoom is little by little going away. Spectrum is picking up the contract. A lot of our citizens are starting to get the bills that way. Basically, Spectrum bought out ComZoom. So little by little, they're taking over. They also will start making some more of the maintenance and the different work around the city. So you're going to see a lot more of the Spectrum trucks running around here, along in the new subdivision in there. For council members, TML conference 5 to 7 October. So council members and department heads, let's pay close attention to that. There's opportunities for us to attend that, especially very, very affordable. It's just going to be in San Antonio. So save us a lot of money, and it's a great opportunity for us to be able to get either some training taken care of or some networking taken care of. Matt, we need to take care of the cyber training also for our.
Yes, so we're required by the end of this month to do cyber training. Thank you to the chief for reminding me of that. He called me. So I think I've got everybody but one in the city hall already done. So we're trying to get everybody gathered by this Friday so I can report it back that we've done what we're required to do. So if you're accessing the internet or anything here at City Hall, you have to do the cyber training. It's a pretty quick course. It's not very hard, and you will pass the test.
So for the elected officials, I think they have to take the course too, don't they?
Yeah, you're accessing, if you're here and you bring your tablets and stuff like that, you access our internet or a device coming through our firewalls. And yeah, I'll send those out tomorrow. You won't be held to the same standard as Friday, I promise. But
And
so I was thinking about it before the end of the month.
And if there is an exchange or the credibility. So if you took one with a county, it's a state governmental agency, they'll actually give you credit for that too.
Just give me a copy of your test if you can, so I can go to the file and create.
So we need to get that all done by the end of this month. So I'll be able to take care of for the elected officials.
Any of that overlap with the emergency action training that I?
No, sir. No, sir. This just basically talks a lot about spoofing and kind of cyber attacks and phishing and yeah, no. Okay.
Yeah, be able to take care of that.
You learn so much in this 20-minute video on YouTube that's character, like it's a cartoon you watch almost. It's really weird.
They're trying to be humorous, but I could have done a much better job.
Okay, and then 2 other points. reminder, school starts this Thursday. So please, here in Lydle, I know some other communities started even today. So please pass the word around, let folks know. I'll be sending out reminders, pay close attention to our school zones, our buses in different parts of the city. It's going to get very busy, very quick during that time frame. So please keep that in mind. And lastly, we actually have our city secretary on the 16th of August. Her birthday. So if you all could join me singing happy birthday to her. Yeah, I got the wind right here blowing. Okay, so here we go.
Happy birthday to you.
Cha cha cha.
Happy birthday to you.
Cha cha cha.
Happy birthday, dear Paula.
Cha cha cha.
Happy birthday to you.
Anybody, any last minute?
Real quick,
Yes.
Lydle plays Uvalde tomorrow in volleyball. So anybody that can come support the game, I think a lot of people are gonna be there just to support Uvalde. So
What time?
5, 6, and 7. So varsity will play at 7:00 here. Yes, yeah. Uvalde is coming to Lydle. So
That'd be great. Yeah, definitely. Just get the word out. That'd be good. Go to support. Definitely that community too. All right. Anything else? All right. So it's 8:22. Do I have a motion?
I
for us
make
to
the
go?
motion that we adjourn for the evening.
Okay, got a motion on the floor? Second? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Any opposed? All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great evening. Be good.